to figure this out.
Awesome. So this is on page 274, number 19, and it tells us to create a program that allows the user to enter an unknown number of sales amounts for each of the 3 car dealerships, dealership 1, dealership 2, dealership 3, and to calculate the total sales. So the very first thing we need is a bunch of variables and constants. So we'll start off with a constant integer, and that will be the number of dealerships. And that happens to be 3. So now we're going to need some other variables. We're going to need a double, and that will be sales. But we also need something to keep track of how many different sales that we're going to have for each dealership. We don't really know how many they're going to be. In other words, so we have dealership 1, we could have sale for $500, sale for $1,000, sale for $2,000. We don't know how many sales because it says the user needs to enter an unknown number of sales amount for each of 3 dealerships. So we need an integer.
Like a counter or something, right?
Like a counter, exactly. And we'll call her, let's see. So we just call it dealer sales. And we don't even have to, we actually have to call it dealer counter in here. So we're going to keep track of the sales, and then we're going to keep one for total sales. So let's do one here, and total sales. And we'll just call this dealer sale. So that this dealer sales will keep track of the individual sales for one dealer. The total sales will keep track of all of them. And then we just need to just keep going for how many we're going to do. So let's just do it with a simple yes or no. So we'll do constant, rather character, and we'll just call it selection. And you could name it something different if you don't like selection. And that will be our yes or no one in here. So the first thing we need to do is also create a Boolean. And we'll just call more sales. And we'll call that true. So we're going to do a do while loop. I always, for some reason, put the while inside the parentheses. I can't get out of that habit. So what this means is we're going to keep getting more information while there's more sales. So the very first thing we'll do is cout enter sales amount. And then we'll get the sales amount. So at this point in time, we're actually going to need a third variable. And let's just call it sales. And that will keep track of each individual sales. This will be the total dealer sales for a particular dealer, and this will be the total. So we want to do dealer sales, we want to do CN sales. Then we're going to do dealer sales plus equals sales. Then we're going to do cout more sales, yes, no, and we'll get in our selection. And then what we'll do is more sales. First we need to create it and make it uppercase. And then more sales equals selection equals, notice the double equals, yes. So anything under this. Now, you would want to put this, the enter more sales selection, and the selection equals to upper, and more sales into a while loop to get the actual, make sure that it's a yes or no. So for time constraints, we're not going to do this. If we have time, we'll do it at the end. So we're going to assume the user is going to type in either a yes or a no. So if they type in a yes, it will go back to while more sales. And if not, this more sales will be false. It'll exit out. So
Professor, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but silly question. You probably went over it like early on, but you did the plus equals between dealer sales and sales, and you did the equals between selection and Y.
Okay.
Can you explain that real quick to me?
I can.
Okay.
Plus equals is a way of adding something. So the plus equals means add to the value of dealer sales whatever the value of sales is. In other words, it's just like this. That's what that means. That's just a shortcut of doing that. This means because if you use a single equal sign, then it will assign Y to selection. Does that clear it up?
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean it's not a dumb question. It's a good question. It's something that most people takes a while to get used to that terminology in there. So that works in there. But yeah, if you you should always use this. That's the preferred method of doing it. All right. So now we're doing more sales selection. Well, yada 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 do. So once we get the dealer sales in here, so we'll just print out. See out this sale and sales and then total sales which will be dealer sales. Now notice I'm not worrying about the cosmetic nonsense right now. And that looks good. Now, one thing we need to do is we need to make sure that our dealer sales, even though it's initialized up here, it's always recommended that you make sure that it's set to 0 because it's going to be an accumulator. The total sales is no big deal, or actually the sales is no big deal because we're going to get a C in for the value over here. But anything that we're calculating using an accumulation we're adding to, we need to. So the dealer sales, for sure, we have to. The total sales, we also have to. So we're going to do total sales. Now we need to make sure that we do it outside of the loop, because if we do, then it's going to reset it every time we do a new sale. So we have to be very, very, very careful with that. So we can do this here. This looks good. This looks good. This looks good. So let's test it. And enter sales amount. We'll do $5,000. And it says more sales. Yes. So this sale, 5,000. Total sales, 5,000. Enter. So let's do 15,000 and see what it looks like. And more sales. So we have a cosmetic issue right now. This sale, 15,000. Total sales, 20. So that looks pretty good. So we need to fix this. And put this before the more sales. And let's run it one more time. And I think we have one more cosmetic issue. All right, so let's try this here. And we'll do 25,000 or 2,500. Okay, this sale, 2,500. Total sales, 2,500. That makes sense. And we'll do 10,000 this time. So it should be 10,000 and then 12,550. So that looks good. All right. So we need to fix one cosmetic thing here. So now this will only allow us to do one dealer. So now what we need to do is get the other dealers. That's where we put this inside a for loop. So let's go to for. And we call it integer. And we can call it I, we can call it dealers, we can call it, but usually a counter is usually a very simple variable. So I'm just going to call it I equals 1. We're going to start off with one dealer. The condition is going to be I less than or equal to the number of dealerships. And then we're going to increment I by 1. And we'll put this right here. So this should have indented, but it did not. So we'll fix that. So let's just make sure we have our brackets right. That looks good. So to get it indented, we can just select all of this here. If it doesn't indent automatically, then hit the tab key. And then just to be on the safe side, we're going to click this here and make sure that the while disappears, which it does. All right, so we're good. So this does everything. So now we're going to get 3 dealerships. But we have one issue that we need to make sure that we take care of. We need to reset dealer sales to 0. Otherwise, it's going to be accumulated from this dealer sales in here. So what we're going to do here is dealer sales. We do not want to do total sales because we want that to be accumulated. Okay, did I spell something wrong? I certainly did. All right, where's AutoCorrect when you need it? So we don't really have to use this anymore. If you have it and don't need it, it's a lot better than need it and don't have it. So now our dealer sales is going to be set up back to 0 again. But our total sales is going to be accumulated in here. Of course, we're not resetting the total sales wherever we're asking it. More sales, let's see. Dealer sales plus equals sales. So it looks like we're not doing the total sales. So let's do total dealer sales. So we are not doing anything with total sales. Now, we don't have to do this every single time here inside the while loop because we only care about the total sales when it's done, but it's okay to do it. as long as you only do it once. I'm going to do it outside, and we're going to do total sales plus equals dealer sales. So what does that mean? Okay, we've calculated the dealer sales. And now let's accumulate that and add the total sales to the total dealer sales. So these dealer sales really is the total of one dealer sales in here. And that's what you would put in your comments there. So again, I could have put this here if I wanted to. It would be exactly the same. Would I take off for it? If you did, no, I would not. But the reason why I don't is because this is going to get calculated more times that you need to. Now, if you wanted to print it each time and say dealer sales after this sale is this and this or total, that's fine. You know, again, whatever you feel the most comfortable with. So let's test it with simple things in here. Total sales amount, so let's do $5,000. Is there one more? And total we'll do 10. So that should be 15,000 for that. Let's do no and see if we get 15,000. Apparently we did not print that out. Enter sales amount, so let's exit this. So we'll start with our 5,000 again. Yes, we'll do 10,000. Okay, more sales, no. Total of all sales is 15,000. So that's good. So we're there. We have some cosmetic stuff to fix. So let's do 20,000 and 20,000. So we should get 55,000 after that. And total dealer sales. So once we choose no, it should give us 55,000, which it did. And we'll do one more. We'll do 10,000 and no, and total 65,000. So that's that program. So we need to fix some cosmetic stuff here. So let's go through this now, see what it does. And now we can get rid of this. We have 3 dealerships. If we needed to add more, we can do more. We're keeping track of each individual, whatever you're selling it. We're keeping track total of that, of everything that we're selling. And we're keeping track of an individual dealership total sales. This is being used to see if we have more sales. And this is our Boolean that we're using. So we're initializing it. Now we're going to do this for 3 times. So we're going to do 1, 2, and 3. That's where we're setting a counter at 1. You can use anything that you want. You definitely want to initialize it inside of it, because that means the variable will only exist here, as opposed to using integer I up here. Because what will happen is when you get done with that, if you just use integer I and then you do I equals 1 and do all this other stuff, then what will happen is when you get done with the for loop, I will be 3. And if you use it again, then I will be 3. So this way, if you use it inside and you declare it inside of this, it will only be visible inside of the brackets. Once the brackets, it goes past the brackets, it's erased from the system. So we're doing this 3 times. We're making sure we're resetting the individual dealer sales to 0. Then we're getting the sales amount in here. We're updating the sales amount for the dealer by what we just sold. We're printing some stuff. We're checking to see if there's more sales. And then we are doing that there. So that takes care of this whole program. The rest is maybe cleaning up, commenting number one, cleaning up maybe we want to change some of the names of these sales. So I could put like individual dealer sales, total of all dealerships, all kinds of things that make sense. Remember, the most important thing besides getting the program running properly is when you look at it and you understand it. So if you use good variable names, then you're in good shape. All right. So questions: going once, going twice, going three times.
So when you run it, when you run it, like let's say you run it again, it isn't supposed to show you like this dealership made a total of this dealership made a total of this dealership made a total of this, and then at the end you calculate all the like you display each.
Well, you could, but the issue with that is we're using dealer sales to do that. When we do a raise, you could declare, do this.
Like I wanted to store the value of dealership 1, dealership 2, and dealership 3.
All right, so this is what you would do here then. I just do
like, I mean, that's the way I interpreted that question, but
well, we don't have to, but you would have to. First of all, you would have to have a variable for each dealership sales.
Yeah.
In here, and you would have no way of knowing. This is why you would use what's called a variable.
Mm-hmm.
Then you would use brackets here, and we'd use num dealerships. So this will answer your question. This is going to make you a happy man.
Yeah.
So what this does is create a variable called dealer sales, but we reference it from, if you're familiar with zeros, it's got an index. So the first index is 0. So we have individual dealer sales of 0. Then we increment it as 1. Then we increment it of 2 in there. So the first one is going to be, when you do the I for I equals 1, we would start off here. We would need, so we're doing with 1. So we can't really use 1 for this particular case. We would have to use I minus 1 in this particular case. So we're going to start off with dealer So the way you would reference it would be the next time around, I is going to be 2. So the first time around, I is 1. Individual dealer sales would be 0. So then we're going to go and let's see where we're increasing it. Selection dealer sales plus equals 1 in here. So do.
After dealer
well, there's two different ways that you can do it. We can do it here. So we can do.
Yeah, outside of the
this is still 1. So we can do individual. Let's just copy this here. Trying to learn how to spell and do things at the same time. All right, so that takes care of updating this. So we're going to do this over here. So this is going to total all of our dealerships in here. So the dealer sales, so that looks good. So 4 in here. And so that should take care of everything. So let's print out. We're done here. We've done the 4. So now let's print out the individual dealer sales. So we go for integer I. In this particular case, we're going to use 0, so we don't have to subtract it. I less than number dealerships. I plus plus. All right. So the reason why we have the I plus 1, because we didn't, we would put in, it would be dealer 0, dealer 1, dealer 2. So let's run this and see if it works. So we'll do 2 in each one. So we'll do 5. And yes, then we'll do 1,000. All right, so total sales, so no. So total of all sales is 1,500. All right, so let's do another one. Let's do 20,000 and 30,000. So we should have a, I think, 15,000 and a 50, and we'll do one more. We'll do 30 and 30. All right. So dealer number 1 is 100. Okay, so it's cosmetic. One is 15,000. One is 50,000. One is 60,000. So we would need to fix this. Total dealer sales is 4. Total dealer. Where's my? All right, so let's try it one more time and get that squared away. All right, so total of all sales is 35, 5,000 in here, and boom. And does it ask us for the average?
No, I don't think so.
If it asks us for the average, we can do it. So it says display the total sales with a $sign and 2 decimal places. So you would just use the cosmetic in here.
Yes.
Total of all sales is
$sign.
And then you're going to do the C out fix and separation of 2. And that should be that program.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So, are we good, or we need something else?
I think with this is pretty good so far.
Awesome. So let me end this video.